What's up, guys? I'm Tiff.
I'm Sid.
And we are so excited to have you guys back on our channel. Thank you so much for all of the subscriptions. For those of you who have lately followed our Instagram channel, y'all are so amazing. And so we just pray that what we are sharing is really blessing you, whether you are in a relationship now, whether you're married, dating, engaged, or even single, and you're looking forward to that future together. So, y'all, today we're going to get into it.
It's the one.
This is the one that, if y'all remember on the last one, Sydney said, is this the one when we got into it? No, that one wasn't it. It was this one. And today we are talking about unpack your bags.
Pack them jokers.
I feel like I can say this. I ain't going to say 100%. I don't know everything. But I believe that most issues that arise in relationships are issues that, well, maybe not the issue has been there, but who the person is, their triggers, those have been there. And when issues arise, we oftentimes respond based on baggage and triggers and not always by the issue at hand. Would you agree?
I would. We would have to dive more into that.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of different layers.
Correct.
This is an onion conversation. So
yes, yeah, I believe that. And so I really believe too that this one is kind of like the center of all the ones that we talk about, right? When we talk about coming together, like all of that is a response, a collective response to the baggage that you have.
Absolutely.
The baggage that you've let go of, or the baggage that you still live in. So let's really dive right into it. I think the meat of this, which is really good, is really the question of where are you? And what I love that he said here is that that's a self-awareness question. So when you're talking about unpacking your bags with your person, you have to be aware of where you are, but also willing to share where you are.
I agree 100%. I was like that in the beginning of our relationship, though.
What do you mean?
I unpacked it. I told you where I was when we first got together.
You did.
I did.
You did.
Now, the other stuff that came up later, that was just a causality of being with you. Because remember, I told you, like you said, God is going to use, and this is something I've been saying since we've been together, and definitely true, is that the ultimate goal is God wants you in eternity. That's the ultimate goal. Marriage is a tool that he uses to get you there. So for me, us being together, again, there was stuff that I said in the beginning, this is where I was. This is my relationship PTSD. This is what's going on with me. I don't have a timetable of when this is going to change, but I do want it to change. But this is who I am. Now, as time went along, I started to grow out of the things that I told you about in the beginning, the Lord used this relationship to start bringing other stuff to the top.
Right. So so I feel like it's one of those things where, in all fairness, bring what you know, but also stay aware, because even to the recent point of what the Lord said to you about the subconscious resentment thing, there are things. Yeah, that's what I said to the recent. Yeah. There are things that is baggage that you're not aware of again until something happens in that relationship that then triggers. And it's like, oh shoot, I'm still carrying this. So even to the point of what we talked about, I think in the last one, when I shared the whole situation about how you like kind of distance yourself from me when I was hanging around other people, because that was still baggage from the last relationship, saying, 100%. Oh, this is how women treat me when they're with their, you get what I'm saying? When they're with their friends.
So you said be aware. Okay. So I know a lot of the new stuff I wasn't aware of. So I guess for me, I don't want to say that if you're not aware of certain things that you're neglectful.
Right.
Because you're not going to know everything. Like I said, there's a lot of different things, even all the way up to this point, that I still don't know. Like recently, God was just like, okay, this is what's going on.
Right.
Right. And so I believe that as we grow, and also as our vertical relationship goes, when that grows, there will be more that God is going to reveal, because like I said, the ultimate goal is to get you to heaven.
Well, see, So I don't want to say that I disagree, but I feel like the goal of marriage, though, I mean, salvation, yes, it's to bring us back there, but also there's work to be done on earth. And I
100%.
believe that what marriage reflects is a response to Christ and his church. And we reflect that here on earth. I don't think that that's just for heaven.
So when I say that, I understand that marriage is a luxury, right? Marriage is in fact a luxury.
It's a privilege, for sure.
It's a privilege that God gives for the enjoyment of earth, but it's also, watch this, it's also to keep you in the context of what his plan is when it comes to sexual activity. Because he does not want you,
right? And sex is for earth, though. We're not having sex.
100%. Of course, we're not. But if we're honest, it's for our enjoyment here. But absolute, God is putting us in a place where, okay, I'm trying to keep you from sin, which is what ultimately keeps you away from me. So I'm going to use this marriage that sex is it's a definite luxury of earth, 100%. But it's also the marriage bed. It's also it's also parameters for our sin nature, because we can still go get, just being real. We, like I said, we gonna be 100. You can still go get sex if you want to. You really can. But again, the marriage bed is our parameter to keep us in line. It's like what he was saying. It was like what he was saying in and that's just a further one. That's another one. When we were talking about sex, and he was talking about our desires when it comes to the sex bed, and how, you know what I'm saying, there are so, like, in us, because we're so sinful, because we have a sinful nature, there are so many desires that we do have that needs to be put in its proper place. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying when I'm saying that the sex or our marriage, ultimately, everything that we do down here is ultimately for us to get in. That's just literally what it is. And that's why I've come to the revelation of, because my whole idea of marriage was, okay, I'm about to come, I'm about to get married, I'm about to have fun, I'm about to do this, I'm about to do that. But when the Lord started to reveal to me, when you're married in purpose, it's different. It's very different. When you are aware.
So where are you getting this idea from, though, that the purpose of marriage, and I feel like we kind of getting away from our topic, but the purpose of marriage is to get us into heaven? Because I'm thinking of all the scriptures, like, I've come that they may have life in life more abundantly, or like even when the Bible talks about he gives us the crown of life. Like, I think it's one of those things where it's not that I'm disagreeing with you, because I understand heaven, but I feel like our salvation secures us, for heaven. But while we're here, we have such a heavy assignment here, and it just, my thought, what I'm saying, and so that's why I'm asking you to expound. It's like you making it seem more like,
I think where you're coming from with your thought process is, you're thinking about marriage just being for here. Now, again,
no, I'm not saying just for here, but you're saying his goal is to get us into
absolutely eternity. I believe it's a tool to get us to eternity. Like, so for me, there are a lot of things that I have grown in and all that stuff as a single man, 100%. But there are other things that I cannot grow in until I get into a place where I'm with somebody who can call these things out. If you want to take that route, because we already know that if you want to be single for the rest of your life, you actually have that choice to be single if you want to, right? But if you are talking about getting married, I believe that God will use that tool to sharpen you 100% for the earth, most definitely. But it will also, like you said, our relationship or your marriage relationship should be an example of what your relationship like is with God. So my thing is, the same way that we as a couple horizontally look at each other and get everything together in our lives, God will also use that tool to get us shapely to where our relationship with him is stronger. You know what I'm saying? So that's my whole process. I'm not saying that marriage is just for heaven. We know that, honestly, it has nothing to do with heaven. It's to get us there, because after we die, that's on death till you part. That's literally what's in the vows. Death till you part. After that, there is no marriage.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's about you and him after that point.
So I don't even understand, how do we get there from unpacking your bag? No, I'm serious. I feel like we totally got off topic, and
I think we were saying that the whole about being honest or unpacking your bag is just about just telling you where you are and being honest about where you are, and how that conversation is basically, it needs to be had. and how that, if it's not, it could keep you hindered in a place where you guys are having conversations and certain things are triggering you, and you're not, and your spouses is not understanding why.
No, okay, so you said something that I 100% agree with, and I wanted us to kind of break it down because it is this idea of, you have to be honest with somebody up front. So I agree with that. Like you said, you came in, you unpacked the baggage that you felt like these are things that I'm still dealing with. These are things that I know need to be healed, and things like that. But along the way, there were also things that you would get triggered, right? You weren't aware of. But I feel like the reason that this worked, though, when I say self-awareness is so important, is because at all times there could be something that comes up. You get what I'm saying? Like, even for me, again, because I feel like when we talk about this, but I think we've prefaced it enough to let people know it's not that it's because I'm perfect by any means, or I came into this relationship perfect. It's because I spent so much time by myself doing a lot of the things that you did while we were in the relationship. So that's why a lot of times it kind of sounds like that. But I think the point that we really want to drive home is...
Sidebar. Listen, this is me being a protector. All right. So don't pay no mind. You did it right. And like you know what I'm saying? And I just want to take the time like to really give you your flowers on doing singleness the correct way. And like I said, it's not one of those things where she feels like she's coming off as if she knows everything. She did it with God. So there is a level of knowledge that you would have, other than somebody who didn't do it the right way. So it's not an arrogance, it's just a confidence in knowing what you did.
And I think for me, I appreciate you saying that, babe, but and I think for me, it's also important to say that because you do have women who will take on certain projects with men, and then things don't work out, and they look at God a certain way, or they look at this man a certain way, and don't realize I'm not saying that I was able to do this in my own strength. I was able to do this because of what I did before getting with you. You get what I'm saying? So if you get a woman who you have not yourself done the work, and then you're with a man who has not himself done the work, you can't be upset with God that you're not getting the same result. 100%. I had a different temperament. I had a patience that you didn't have. I had a love that you did not have yet. I had a love that you had not yet understood. But it's because, guess what? What I had to experience with you, God had to experience with me.
Right.
And that's why I was prepared to be a help, though. And women are not nowadays ready to be the help because they have not done the work.
Right.
And they feel a certain type of way. Yeah. And so that's the only reason why I just always want to make sure that it doesn't just sound like, so you just took on this project. Like, no, I was a project too.
Yeah, it was, the project with you was different in learning how to adapt to being with somebody. Because I think you did your singleness so well.
Yeah.
You could have,
right.
you know what I'm saying? You could have just
so well.
You could have just kept going. You know what I'm saying? She could have. She would have been. She's one of those people. I think that the Bible talks about when it talks about basically saying singleness is a choice. You know what I'm saying? You could have been single for the rest of your life and would have been extremely happy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But God was just like, her desire. She could do that, but this. I almost said something else. But this brother need.
And I mean, I had
a lot of help.
The difference is I had the desire as well, but I knew that if it did not happen, I was so secure in who I was and the plan that God had for me, I would still have a successful life. I think that's the difference, because you have people who feel like, oh my God, if I never get married, there is something missing. And for me, there was nothing missing. And I think it's so important for us to get to that place that there's nothing missing. And that makes it easier to compromise when you get into a relationship. You 100%. Get what I'm saying? Like, because I don't lose. If anything, I'm gaining.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's what's missing. But again, the point that I feel like we wanted to really drive home with this one is, one, what you are aware of, share. What you are aware of, share. It does not matter how ugly it is. It does not matter. Because even some of the things that I was healed from, I still felt the need to share so that you could understand in your sharing, right? made it easier for you to unpack your bag to say, hey, I had that bag too.
And I'm gonna say this too, to the whole communication thing, because a lot of times when when your spouse feels like they've like grown past where you are, or they're in a certain place, it's almost like there is a disconnect in communication. It's like they really don't understand where I'm at. But in sharing and communicating, like I said, I thought a lot of times I thought I was the only one who had that problem. You know what I'm saying? But you was able to say like, yo, I've actually endured through that, bro.
What?
Like seriously. But that's how when you're going through, I think, or when you're going through growth stages or growth spurts or growing pains, the enemy loves to use isolation in your mind to make you feel like you're in a place where it's like, I can't do it. You know what I mean? But then that's why that person is there to be like, okay, listen, I've encountered that. I've actually done that. Actually, what you feeling right now, brother, I was feeling it, and you guys joke about it and all that stuff. And then it just brings this levity to a heavy situation. And it's like, well, I can go ahead and I can keep going because I've seen somebody and I'm experiencing someone at this moment who has actually done it the right way. You know what I mean?
That's so good though, babe. And I feel like it's so twofold. That's what, man, like, I just hope that people really understand how much we're trying to drive home the partnership. Because what 100%. You just said was the enemy will try to play in your mind on your issues. So I feel like on one side in a relationship, like, you should be like, let your person know what you're dealing with. You get what I'm saying? 100%. Like, this is what I'm going through. This is where the enemy is trying to attack me. But then also from the other side of the relationship, it's important for you to let this person know, like, I've been there too, or I'm going through it now. I'm dealing with it. You get what I'm saying?
Be
because
vulnerable.
That'll help you again. And even the culture, like, and I'm excited for, your season 3, but even like season 1 and 2 in your podcast, just us continuing to push men to do it, because culture will make men, what the enemy is doing to you, make you keep that to yourself.
100%.
Make you figure out how to go through it. And then that's why you got men committing suicide. Or if they don't go as far as suicide, they on drugs, they sneaking. Like, I just heard about something, I don't know where I just heard that from, that this lady didn't know that her husband was on drugs until they had to go to the doctor, and he had to tell the doctor. You told me that, like, everything he took, like, but that's the type of stuff that's happening. And so that's why we're saying, unpack your bags. And I think this was taught and we took it before going to marriage, but I think just like everything that we've learned, this needs to be a foundational tool. Month to month, maybe we need to sit down and say, baby, what baggage do you have right now that we need to unpack?
I think another thing too, like, even with that story, and I won't give the name, but even with that story, you have to understand that if you don't say anything, it's gonna come out anyway.
It's gonna
come out anyway.
Wait, I'm sorry. Slow down. Slow down. Say that again.
If you don't say anything, it's gonna come out anyway.
It's gonna come out.
Because, like I said, God is not into secrecy. He's into
especially
things, especially
in a covenant.
Absolutely. He's into things being out there, being truth, the truth being there, because he understands in everything being exposed, there is so much healing that can take place.
Yes.
And again, like I said, the ultimate goal is to get you to a place where you are healthy, you're full, and you're ready to, not ready to die or anything like that, but just ready to, see God. But you're living the right way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm letting you know from experience, not just from his story, that there are a lot of secrets that I had even before getting into a relationship that I tried to hide, but God ended up exposing it.
It was multiple things. I feel like you got into a relation. Well, let me say this: Sydney has wanted to. He wanted to be married. You get what I'm saying? And like I said, I wanted to be married. So he got into a relationship that God said, I approve of this. Because here's a really, really, really good indicator as well when it comes to relationships. It's not always that it's a bad relationship and that this person isn't good for you. Sometimes God won't allow the healing to take place in that relationship because he needs you out of it. You get what I'm saying? So he will allow the friction to stay to show it's not supposed to be there. But when the right people get together, who God has brought together, it's like, okay, now I can let all of that stuff come to the surface because I know they're with the person that they're going to be able to heal and walk through this with.
And the other thing is what comes with exposing and unpacking your bags, you finally find out if that person can actually handle what you have.
Oh, for sure.
Because like I said, a lot of people will stay in relationships and then they end so bad because there was no truth being told. And like you said, just the friction with what needed to be exposed. That's another thing that's going to happen too. If you do not expose it, it's going to eat at you. It's definitely going to eat at you.
That's true.
It's definitely going to eat at you, because no human being in the world is meant to keep deep, dark secrets and stuff like that. And like, you're not, so, and I know that's what culture teaches you, like, keep it to yourself, or keep it, like the other stuff, keep it in the house. Don't go out and tell nobody. And there are so many different people who have suffered for years on top of years because they have not unpacked their bags.
And that's why we are here sharing relationships God's way, because we don't care what culture says. The Bible says that it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. That cross work was for freedom. So it's not even like, oh, he wants to go ahead and set you free now. No, over 2,000 years ago, it was on his mind. He did that so that you could be set free. So now you have to decide, like you said, as a man, are you going to follow culture's way, or are you going to follow Christ's way? Are you going to allow this helper that God sent into your world to be with you and say, listen, I know this is what you got going on, but you have to trust that this is a safe space. You got to share with me what is going on and allow me to decide yes or no, I can or I can't.
Yeah, and culture is corny. It is. That's my whole new mantra when it comes to things that have been for women and for men especially. Like, it's all corny. It's from false doctrine. It has nothing to do with what the ultimate life is. And here's the truth. I know we look at culture and it's like, how many zeros you got in your bank account or the amount of success that you have shows that you've made it. But let me tell you something. We already have 100 on top of hundreds of stories about people who have been successful and still miserable to the point where they take their own lives. That's what I'm sitting there telling you. Culture is not it. It's not giving you the right anything. It's not giving you the right anything. There's no real standard in what culture has for you. The real culture, the real standard is in that word, man.
It is.
It really, like, seriously.
And
like,
it will
really
guide you in your relationship. It will guide you so well in your relationship. So I wanted you to kind of share, first of all, why or what made it so easy for you to come into a relationship and just share the baggage that you knew, right? Because again, it's not normal in general, and it's not normal for me, and it's not normal. Like, what made it so easy for you to just share some of the things that you shared? Like, why did you do
that? Number one was I had lied so much in the relationship that I was in that I was not doing at the time around. Like, I lied enough. I was just like, I was through lying. I just got to the point where it ended so badly. I just kind of sat and I'm just like, well, and I wasn't hiding anything necessarily from the individual, but I kept trying to hide who I really was in order to appease the person. So I just got tired of that. I got tired of it.
Okay.
And before we got together, we were friends. Our first conversation was you telling me about your story and everything like that.
At Red Robin.
Yeah, at Red Robin. And you gave me a good foundation, it was just a safe space to just be like, we became friends before. Like, I was talking to her about getting back with my ex and seeing what I should do. And she was, she wasn't thinking about me, and I was thinking about her. And it was just one of the things where it was like, well, if that's what you want to do, this is what you should do. But it ended up turning into a friendship, and it was just a safe space. So I just felt like I could, you know what I'm saying? I just felt like it was just, and it was like, because of your story and what you told me or what you've encountered in your own journey, it was one of the things where you didn't judge me, because you was like, I was there. Like, I was actually a lot, like, some of the stuff that you telling me, it was actually a little bit deeper and darker on my side of the fence. So, you know what I'm saying? So it was just kind of one of them things where it was just that. And and another thing was, number 3, the more I told you, the more I understood how my freedom was coming.
Yeah.
Like, I was getting more and more healed by actually talking to you.
Sharing. Yeah. And I would say for me, because I share, things with him too from my past. For me, it was easy to share because I was healed. I think a really easy way to know that you're not healed is when you discuss the things that you've done under condemnation. I tell people all the time, I could sit here right now and run down my entire past before I gave my life to Christ, and even after giving my life to Christ, y'all know we're not perfect. But before I told the Lord yes, and started my celibacy journey and all of that, I could literally tell y'all every single thing because I'm not under condemnation. Like I am literally not hurt anymore. I have really accepted if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Like old things have passed away. Behold, all things are new. So for me, that's why it was easy to share. But also, because if you're in a relationship and you are dealing with somebody who is still kind of in some of their baggage, an easy way for you to accept the things that they shared is to realize this, like y'all are under the same mercy.
Absolutely.
You're under the same grace. So for me, if any man be in Christ, guess what? I know you just told me that that's what you're dealing with, but if you will accept it, if any man be in Christ, you are a new creature. You get what I'm saying? So it's just so twofold. Like both parties.
And I think the two things you need to understand with even unpacking your bags, you need to understand two things. I think one is humility. That's number one. Be humble, man. Like even the person
the giver,
both
and the receiver.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say that too. The giver and the receiver.
The only way you can express or say something, that's humiliating is to be humble about it.
Yeah.
Like I'm flawed. This is really who I am. As this is just my truth.
Yeah.
And the person who's receiving it's like I have to be humble in what I'm receiving.
Yeah. And because again, you're not there right now, but you were there at one point.
Absolutely.
Or you were somewhere.
And just a sidebar, ladies with guys, this is a nugget. I'm about to help you so much right now. Take what I'm saying to heart. You have one shot. You got one time that if a man is coming to you being vulnerable and you take it the wrong way and say the wrong stuff, he will never tell you anything again. I'm letting you know. I'm telling you how, from a man's perspective, the minute a man, especially because men don't like talking, they don't like unpacking because you know what it's doing? It's showing chinks in your armor. It's showing you that I get weak, and we have been taught, our minds have been brainwashed to tell people that men are not flawed and we don't have chinks in our armor. So if a man ever gets to the place where he's that tired to come to you and say to you, this is what's going on, and you are accepting it the wrong way, you need to do this. You need to toughen up. You need to do this. And you just disregard what he says. Him telling you things, and I'm not saying it's forever, but it would be a very long time that he comes that vulnerable again.
And I will, and let me say this though, because there were times, I'm just trying to think back through our story. I think a lot of times when you came and told me stuff, I believe for the most part, I was very graceful.
100%.
I was full of love, but there were times where, okay, that's what it was. It wasn't that you came and told me something. We may have got into it about something, and I was responding to you because we're going back and forth. And then later when we realized, oh, that triggered something that had nothing to do with what we were actually talking about. That was something with baggage. Then we would have to come back to it, like you said, in humility, in apologies, and things like that. So if you do find yourself going at him in the wrong way, the best thing to do, I would say, because obviously I'm not a man, but to Sydney's point, I can really understand how that would make a man just want to shut down. Go back in humility and love, and not going back like you still trying to cut at them, but then trying to make it seem like you apologize and like completely like, I am literally sorry. Like, I don't ever want you to feel like you cannot come and talk to me. I didn't know how to accept it. I didn't know how to handle that. Like, if you did it and you genuinely in your heart didn't mean it that way, I think that there's a space because the one thing that you will always tell me when I do apologize is like, babe, I know you. I know your heart. So even though you did that and said that and it hurt me, I know your heart. But that apology and that humility toward him is still so important because of how men are wired.
That goes into my second point of what you're going to need, and that's vulnerability. One thing that I've learned in my lifetime is that one thing that vulnerability shows is love. Like, in all seriousness, like, I'm coming to you because this is eating at me, right? And I know if it's eating at me, I'm not able to be the best I can be for you. So I need to come to you and tell you this.
That's really good.
Because I love you. Like
That's
I
really
love
good.
a lot of times when there was certain things, like I said, I came out about everything. And don't get me wrong, I ain't been perfect. There's been certain things that I just wasn't able to say, but I understood what it was doing to me and how it was eating at me and how I was not able to be there the way I need to be there for her. And therefore that was giving her something where it was like, well, maybe I'm just, and it just had her in a weird place because she didn't know what to do. And it's because I wasn't sharing anything. So I had to come and be vulnerable and say to you, listen, this is what's going on. And from now, and every time I came to her and told her, said something, I told her one thing that I'm always do long after we're married, years in the game, she gonna always know where I'm at. Every single time. Because I'm gonna go through millions of changes as my manhood continues to grow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go through different, I'm talking about we ain't got no kids yet. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like when being a father is, I'm sure it's gonna be a whole different dynamic for me. I'm I'm dreading that, but I'm also looking forward to it.
Because I dreading being a father?
No, I'm dreading what it's gonna bring out of me. Here's the thing. I believe just like it was a lot of things with you as a woman that brought so many things out of me as a man, there's going to be a lot of father things that I haven't uncovered yet by looking at my own son.
Which would make sense, especially knowing the history with you and your father. But what I wanted to say too, because you just spoke to the women, it's like to the men, to the point of what Sydney said, it's so important to share with your woman, because it would be times where I would be feeling something or feeling a way, and then when he come talk to me, it relieved pressure because I realized, oh, it's not that he's not attracted to me or don't want to be around me. His distance has nothing to do with me. His distance has everything to do with where God is dealing with him. Or like you said, where he's at, or he's trying to literally free himself from this. And we talked about this before. Like, you cannot, I believe that you aid God in it, but only God is the healer. Like, you cannot heal a person. You can only help. So I can help, but it's going to be seasons where it's only God can do it. I literally told Sydney, this was actually something recently, but it really plays into this. I was just having a rough few weeks, remember? And that was the night I ended up like praying, and you was just like, I just want to make sure you're okay. And I told Sydney, I said, there are things in this relationship that literally only God can fix. But and then there are things that only you can fix. And I'm going to do my best, and that's going to really make for a healthy relationship, to make sure that I address to you. These are things that I feel like, babe, this is a you thing. Like, this is something that I'm calling out of you that I need from you. And then it's going to be times, but I have to also, like you said, humble myself and make sure I let you know, babe, I'm dealing with this, but this is something that only God can do. And I feel like with that, yes, don't play. Let us. But I feel like with that really helps our relationship to still stay so solid and so locked, because it's gonna be issues, but that don't mean that we got to have a breach in our relationship, because God is dealing with this, but you can still be you and be there in the most amazing ways. Absolutely. But that takes the communication that we're talking about. You cannot be afraid to talk, and I feel like that's the same thing. That shows it's gonna be baggage all the time. You're gonna share baggage up front, but it's gonna be baggage. It's gonna be so much throughout your relationship.
One thing that God, and this is when God, in one conversation, God took so much pressure off of me with life, and that it was, you got a whole lifetime.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's gonna always listen, bro. Like, listen, life is going. It's gonna be consistent, bro.
Yeah.
It's gonna be consistent at being life.
Right. Yeah.
It's gonna be consistent at being life. And so you have to understand that, I there's some things that, like I said, there's things that I'm still learning about myself every single day, that I'm just like, dang, like being deeper into this relationship, it's like there are so many newfound things that I'm finding out about myself that I'm gonna have to tell you, that I'm getting discovery on, that we're gonna have, like you said, every month we're gonna have a new conversation.
Yeah, it's gonna be a conversation about baggage.
But it's bro, y'all got a whole lifetime. You got a whole lifetime to learn it. You got a lifetime to express it. And you're gonna have a lifetime to have to deal with the fallout because of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But do not be an individual where you are not talking. It's just like the same thing. How can you be a better disciple of Christ if you guys are not communicating?
Yeah. What does the scripture say? How can the two walk together
except they agree?
Except they agree. And I feel like agreement doesn't always mean the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just
coming to a common
understanding,
ground.
yeah, and a common ground, because we feel, as y'all can hear, like even in the conversation, like Sydney's thought process on marriage toward heaven and my thought process of marriage toward earth, like there are things that we are not always the same on, but we can agree and we have an understanding, and it doesn't take away from the oneness and us fulfilling our commitment and our covenant in our vows and toward God.
But baby, I think that goes back into what God said our positioning was. I'm big picture.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's true too.
You know
that's
what I mean?
Another conversation.
You know what I'm saying? I'm big picture, your details. You know what I'm saying? Really so it's kind of like I understand
they work together.
They work together.
They
I understand that what the ultimate goal is for God is using marriage for. And you're like, well, there are a lot of details in between before you get to heaven.
Steps to
right. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
So it's kind of like you have to, but like I said, it's one of those things where they hate this word, but we're gonna be throwing this word out a lot. What? Rose.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Rose. And you, Rose, oh my God. Like
Rose.
How does any partnership work though if you don't know your roles? And the worst thing to do is have a partnership where you just got two passive people or two aggressive people. Like you want to be different. You want there to be roles.
God is not, like I said, God is not into giving you the same of anything.
Man.
He's into innovation. He's not into the same or the status quo. He's not into any of that. That's why I said a lot of what culture is teaching is not God at all.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with his characteristics or his agenda by any means.
Yeah, and he's not into giving you what you think you want. God knows what you need. Like if you could create your ideal person, I can guarantee you they're probably not the best for you.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, you could create them about a month and a half, you ain't gonna like them.
You're gonna be like,
you are not going to like them.
Right. And we're saying that because we had this level, like our relationship has been beautiful in the sense that I feel like he said, we've always had this good friendship. We've always come back around to it. But in building this, like up to the engagement, it was like, Jesus Christ, right, what is going on? What is happening?
Like me. What the heck?
But what was happening was Sydney was pulling out of me.
Absolutely.
The best. I was pulling out of him the best, right? So we weren't just going and having these cute dates and everything was quiet. No, hell was being raised in his words because we was pulling everything out of each other to make sure that excellence was there.
Differences is uncomfortable, but the ultimate goal, like you just said, is excellence. Mm-hmm. The only way you can get to that point of excellence is there has to be a rubbing, a butting of heads, because you have to figure out, you have to go outside of yourself and figure out how can we make the best of this situation.
Yeah,
literally that's what being with somebody did. God is not about to, like, God, give me this. God, give me, like, you're coming out of everything you asking God from a heart of, this is what my preference is. This is what I would want. This is what I would need in your mind. And God whole time is like, if I give you that, that's gonna hurt you 6 months down the road.
Yeah, because you're right. You don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're not. It's like, okay, so so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get you somebody. I see what you want. That's nice, but I'm gonna give you somebody that's gonna help you be a millionaire in like the next 10 years. How would that sound? Like if like I said, if I can honestly tell you, more people will be willing to go God's way if he told you that this person is going to be able to bring this out of you and that's going to bless you. But he doesn't do that. He says, okay.
Marriage is faith.
Marriage is faith. He's like, okay, so I got you in a certain place. Like, because I'm going to tell you, like, God didn't tell me to choose her. He didn't. What he did was, he said, this is where I have you right now. I'm going to help you make the decision. What do you think you need? I'm like, okay. I know what I want. No, what do you think you need? I want to bless you with what you want, but I want to give you what you need. Because here's the thing. I need somebody that's going to, like you said, bring out what it is that's on the inside of you that the earth can be able to basically get from. I want to be able to bring that out of you. So I need to put you with somebody that's going to bring it out.
You know what it made me think? I don't know why. Like my eyes just went to your shirt. The color has to be different for you to see it. You know,
Okay.
if everything was great, it's washed.
It's washed and
right?
it's bland.
You
and it's
can
not
evidently see this word because it's different than the background. He's the gray shirt,
and it makes for a better
the yellow
shirt.
champion. Like,
It makes for a better shirt. That's what I'm saying. It makes for a
Yeah.
better shirt. It's like a snake shedding skin. It's like, in order for a snake to shed its dry, dull, and all of this other stuff to get to the vibrant color, it has to go through a dry, hard place, hard surfaces. It rubs itself against hard, sharp rocks to get the skin off. And what ends up happening when it sheds that skin, it's the most vibrant, beautiful. The snakes look 1,000 times better, but it has to go to a different state, a different plateau, a different place in order to be able to bring that out of it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
So that's so good. That's so good. So what we're saying, because I know we just said a lot. I gotta listen back to this because I feel like it's like at least 2 or 3 other videos out of this. But at the end of the day, yes, it is so important to be honest, to everybody unpack your bags, regardless of what you've done. If you had the most successful life before this person, still unpack your bags, still share where you've come from, where you are currently, and understand that because the 2 of you are becoming one, there will be more bags to unpack along 100%. The way. There will be things that you will pick up along the journey that you didn't have before you met them that will become baggage. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that we're trying to share is not being in such a rush to go get married, go have sex, go build this family without having a foundation. Because I think what we've done is we've set a standard, we've set a foundation, we've set a core value, and I want to do a video where we share our core values.
Yeah, we set a culture
of unpacking our bags. So
honest.
As things come, when next year comes in 2 years, guess what? We unpack our bags because that's what we do. We set, what are some of the other ones that we talked about before? Communication. Let's get naked, like being honest, being vulnerable. Those are the foundational principles that we set for our relationship.
Absolutely.
Be for marriage, be for sex, be for children. So now those are long lasting. We're not saying you're going to unpack your bags and then boom, everybody's free and clear. There'll never be a bag again. No, it is a foundational truth. It is a core value now of this relationship, of this family that we will continue to do. And that's what we want people to understand. It's not about just that one time and thinking that you're going to be done.
Yeah.
It's going to happen again. Yeah. Y'all didn't grow apart. You just haven't unpacked your bags in the last year.
Right, dog. Because a lot of people, we just grew apart.
Yeah, you didn't grow apart. You stopped being vulnerable.
What you hear, like I said, as human beings, it's the way that God has set us up. You didn't grow apart. You just got tired of living in the lie. You can basically feel that something was off, but nobody was sharing anything.
Yeah, you're not talking about it.
You gotta, like, you guys, you're not growing apart. You guys have to be honest and be open. You have no idea that one conversation. One conversation could change everything.
Change everything. And so if one conversation happens, why would you stop conversing? So now that's what we do. Talk. We probably ask each other too much.
Yeah.
What's going on? How you feeling? What's wrong? To the point that we'll ask sometimes, it's like literally nothing is wrong. Stop asking. But we are like, our culture is like, you will not. And that's the whole idea of a partner. You will not sit somewhere and the enemy is playing in your mind. You got too much to do and you too amazing for me. And same thing with me. You will not sit in the overthinking. Like, you have too much to do, and that's why we have each other,
bro. And another thing, and this weekend right here, but on all seriousness, bro, another reason why it's so easy, because this is my friend.
Yes. Oh my God. That's gonna definitely be another video.
This is gang right here. This is my dog. God. Like, seriously. Come on, man. This is my dog. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. This is gang right here. This is so it's easy for me to talk with her about anything. You know what I'm saying? And one thing that God is doing is, learning how to prioritize. Not saying keeping anything from you, but you have to understand as you grow in communication that there are certain things that she can't handle, and God is putting on you to handle as a man. That's not everything. That's not everything at all. However, he understands what her heart can take. And my communication with him, we're still communicating, is giving me game for her.
But baby, even to that though, you will say that to me. You get what hear the difference. I
will communicate
hear
that.
The difference.
Yes, absolutely.
There is, babe, yes, it's something going on, but right now me and God are hashing it out. Absolutely. That is still communication. Or it's, babe, it's this, and this. It's still communication.
Yeah.
So you can, even if it's just you and God, communicate that to her. Don't block her out and make her feel like, well, what is going on? Because now with women, now we making up in our mind trying to figure it out. And now 100%. We trying to move, and now we getting out of place because you didn't communicate. It's a simple, you know what, babe, this one right now, me and God. And so it may be something that they eventually bring back to you, or something you absolutely will never hear about, but them and God handled it, and they're not different toward the relationship. Absolutely. So if y'all always, there's so much. Yeah. But I think it's so much because we have set the most beautiful foundation for our relationship. Absolutely. And we really want to help people do it, because you can have a lifetime of love and happiness and peace. Like this still, it's not that it feels too good to be true, as in we didn't deserve it. But when you hear all the stories, you get what I'm saying, of other people, it's just like, absolutely, you like waiting for it to hit the fan. And it's like, even if it hit the fan, our culture says we do peace here. Like that's what we do here. So we love y'all so much. Again, we have much more coming. Y'all make sure y'all follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our family. We are going to be doing couples Bible studies, probably going into the new year, which we're super excited about that. But other than that, we love you guys so much. Continue to do relationship God's way with us, and we'll 100%. See you in the next video.
Peace.